Hey, welcome to Mental Yell, not Mental Hell. But I do want to say, if you have any suggestions for topics, or comments and so forth, be free to put them down. Contact me. Uh, yeah, because I definitely would like to hear back, and also subscribe. To try to build this channel and try to reach out to more people. Who are going through mental health issues or working in mental health facilities, or just see the have the frustrations of society and how it is affecting our mental health and affecting our kids and so forth, affecting our present and future. Um, but with that, let me talk about the past. So I wanted to talk about. Uh, I'm not sure. I wanted to do a video. I mean, yeah, do audio about raising quality kids, which but I don't. I'm not trying to make my videos. I mean, my audio is so long. Um, but let me start with a theory of one reason why I think a lot of okay, this is a kind of it's kind of a funny theory, So I'll just start with this. There's some loopholes, of course, in it, but this is my theory. All right, so this is one of the problems I think is with society, or at least what led up. And this is from the past. So I'm a Generation X. I was, mainly raised in the 80s, and early 90s, and so forth. And the thing about Generation Xers, our thing is that our parents wasn't around. I think we're like usually most parents were working. We had two parents, and so TV raised us. Like there's friends of mine. Oh my gosh, we have so much pop culture knowledge about stuff. I mean, we probably would win on some game show because we just was raised by TV. Like I just know way too much stuff about TV back then and so forth, and probably still now, because our parents wasn't around. TV raised, that was our third parent. I didn't have the greatest father, and so my father, was James Evans Jr. from Good Times and Uncle Ben from Spider-Man. Which you can say sad because these are fictional people, but because my father wasn't really around and really didn't raise me as a kid, I had to, you try to grasp onto something to understand what a father is, or to have that father, you know, um, to guide you, to understand what it is to be a man, to be a boy, to be a man, and so fast forward and to I guess millennium or Gen Z, whatever. And are things that really even different? I mean, now, yeah, they have the internet, because a lot of parents aren't around now either, and so they're also being raised by TV, being raised by the internet, TikTok, and so forth. Um, but why? But the difference I feel like is like why is it that? And I'm not going to, I mean, because I work with some really good young people who have a really great work ethic. Their parents raised them, but then I work with some really sorry young people. And I mean sorry young people, I'm talking about the age groups of like in their 20s, where they just suck, where like they have no work ethic, they don't know what's going on. I'm like, what the heck? And then we see society, just like how these young people, um, they don't want to take responsibility for stuff. They want to, have a victim mentality. And I mean, and there's a lot of older adults have that too, but it just seems like why are young people thinking this way, or just like, I mean, and I guess, just working with kids, like teens and so forth. It's like, why do they have such a failing attitude? Why they claim problems, they're trying to overcome them. And this is my little theory, because we all being raised by media. We all raised by media, and but us Gen Xers, and not to say because it's perfect, because guess what? Some of our Gen Xers are the parents who are not being good parents and raising or didn't raising kids properly. Is that our TV shows were different. Um, in the 80s and so forth, even our cartoons, we were always fighting. It was always good versus evil. Look at the old My Little Pony, the old Care Bears. You know, um, Okay, yeah, I used to watch those with my sisters, but besides, GI Joe and He-Man and Transformers. But even those shows, it was always good overcoming evil. And then it got to a point with cartoons, and I think in the media and TV shows where it was less about overcoming problems, where it's more like you are the problem, or like the problems, just part of life. You can't do nothing about it, and you just try to what's the word? You just try to band-aid it. You just try to live with it, and not try to overcome it. And I just feel like I don't know. I mean, that's my little theory. I think of what's wrong because I just think that, you know, if there's really no difference. I mean, yeah, I think that maybe there's worse. I mean, well, I could say there's worse things now on TV and on the internet. Worse there is, but beyond, but hey, we all know if you were raised in the '80s, oh my gosh, there was a lot of crazy stuff that was on TV in the '80s. I remember, because that's when cable started, and there was no filter on a lot of cable at one time. Shoot, I remember as a kid, we would watch Saturday morning cartoons, and then on USA Network at noon, they would show horror movies. And these was not like, and I don't remember these horror movies completely being, I mean, I think sometimes they were a little bit edited, but no, oh my gosh. There's all the stuff I saw as a kid, a lot of stuff I shouldn't have seen, of course, is just like, the access to VHXs, to videos and so forth. I mean, the same junk, that's how I was a kid, the same junk we're seeing now. Maybe it's just easier to get to kids because, they don't have a TV, they can just put it on their phone and so forth, but it's just like, the '80s, a lot of things are okay. Like this. This is one thing. Okay, I love the song, "Hello" by Lionel Richie. I've done it karaoke. Great song, and we all seen the video. But what is the video is about? Think about it. The video is about a professor trying to have an inappropriate relationship with a student. Now nowadays, that professor, will probably be fired for trying to date a student. It's not proper. I mean, it's always been. I mean, that's been happening for, forever. In colleges and so forth, and schools nowadays and everything that. But guess what? It was a great video, great song, and we didn't think nothing of it back then. We think probably nothing of it now. You know, but it just that the trash was always there. And the stuff was always there. But I think the difference is just the fact that our shows, even especially us boys, we watch Knight Rider, like I said, A Team, stuff like that. That it was overcoming evil. We didn't accept evil as being normal and just taking it in and just you know abandoning it. Just catering it. I guess you can say. And nowadays, that's what I feel like with a lot of kids and a lot of adults. Um, they own their problems as being part of their personality, part of who they are, instead of something that they can overcome. And I see that in the mental health field, and that's the worst thing because yeah, I feel like that. Our generation probably before, we didn't deal with mental health. I mean, I guess it just started. A lot of things just started, coming out. And we started dealing with our mental health because it's been there always. It's just that now we've gone to like instead of not dealing with it, you start dealing with it, and now we've gone to a point where it's gone overboard, where now we're not being responsible for it. We just think that that it's just who we are. We have these problems, and we just have to deal with it. And it's like I say, it's the victim mentality. There's a victim mentality, and you just can't have that in real life. You can't live that way. But that's why. But guess what? In these mental health facilities, I mean, it's good business to have people think that they're always going to be a failure they can't overcome. We have grown adults, and this is where, and I'm just like, for me, I have no tolerance for behavior. I mean, we have some real people with psychological problems in life, real people dealing with, real deep issues, trying to get over it. But then we have people, and they're just freaking babies. We have grown adults who they are deciding, because it's a choice. That's one thing I think people forget. That it is a choice. You are choosing um, to not grow up. They're choosing to, self harm, but not self harm enough to really kill themselves, but self-harm enough to get into a facility and be catered to, because a lot of these facilities now, they just cater to these people instead of like, saying, hey, you need to grow up. You need to do this, and you do that, you need to be responsible, you need to get a job. But a lot of facilities, they just medicate them because it's good business for pharma. It's just, I mean, the medical field, and I say all the medical field, there's a lot of positive things, and a lot of positive things about mental health. I just tell people, like new people, just tell them, there's small victories. I mean, we're not the administration, you're not the company, but at times there are people you'll be able to talk to, reach out to, and you'll see a change. And but the thing is, sometimes the problem with some of these facilities, they think that these people coming in temporarily, maybe a week, 2 weeks, a month, and you can't help them. That's a lie. That is a lie. We actually, place I'm at now, thank God this trainer is gone. But the trainer used to say that, oh, we can't help people. They're not here long enough. And that's a freaking lie. you know. And I think I contended with this trainer. I didn't like his mentality because I came from a residential where sometimes there'll be kids, having issues and so forth. And I talked to them for like 20 minutes, and it's life changing. You can plant seeds because guess what? How long is a movie? A movie might be an hour and a half, 2 hours, and that movie can change your life. A poem, a book, can change your life. A statement can change your life. And you're saying that the 7, 8 days, 10 days, a week, whatever, that we can't do something to help this patient, help change your life? No, I've seen it. I already experienced it. So for me, it's like I already experienced it in the residential. I remember this one girl, very dark skinned black girl, and she got offended. This one white girl, I think, said to her, I don't know, there was some issue, and the one white girl said like, just because you're black, I'm not afraid of you. And the black girl got angry and beat up the white girl. But then the black girl started targeting the white girl. They lived in the same house, the residential, and and this guy, of course, what's helping the black girl in it because it's like, you're targeting this white girl, you keep trying to, beat her up, you have beat her up, and you're not helping yourself at all. You're making things worse for yourself, and so eventually I was in that house, and I think the black girl, they put her on a one-on-one, which you have to, the staff has to be with this patient at all times, like, um, and I got a chance to talk to her, and she, like I said, she was a very dark skinned black girl, and I was like, guess what? Because I'm a person of color too, I'm black, and I said, guess what? You're black. I was very blunt. I was like, you're black, and you're dark skinned black, and for the rest of your life, there are going to be people calling you names because even as an adult now, I still get people calling me a nigger. I've walked down the street, in places where I'm not thinking, it's racially diversified you think, and still people calling out the window, calling me a nigger and so forth. And guess what? There's black on black racism too. Um, I mean, sometimes it's even worse because black people, how we are, especially with different colors. We tease them too. You're too black or you're too light or whatever. We tease and we have our own racism too. But I remember I told this girl, you're black, you're dark skinned black. So for the rest of your life, you're always gonna have somebody saying something to you, some kind of racial stuff, whatever. It's gonna happen. But guess what? It's up to you to decide what you're gonna do about it. Because in the real world, you attack somebody out in the street, they call you a nigger or whatever like that, guess what? If no one heard them call you a racial slur and so forth, and even if they hear it, you attack this person and hurt them, guess what? You're the one going to be in trouble. You're the one going to jail. You're the one going to be hurt. So you got to have some self-control. You can't always, like that's life. Sometimes you just can't always be physical. I mean, yeah, I feel like you have to. If someone physically try to attack you, yeah, you defend yourself. You do what you have to do. Someone try to attack your family or friend, you defend them. Do what you have to do. But someone call you a name and so forth, and you're out in public or something like that, and you hurt them, guess what? You're gonna get some jail time. And that little time I talked to her, it changed her life. After that she stopped. After that, every time I saw her, she was just so happy to see me and so forth, because no one told her that. No one told her that truth of life, and it changed her. And I was like, I mean, literally, probably more like a 15-minute conversation I had with her, and that was it. It changed her. I knew this other girl. She was like a very skinny girl, but she was attacking all the staff and everything. Just terrible. And I remember I had to, be a one-on-one with her, and I told her blunt, it's like, hey, you're a predator, but guess what? There's bigger predators out there, and you continue what you're doing, you're going to meet a bigger predator and you're going to get hurt. You're going to get injured, you know. And I know that sowed a seed, and I know that other staff started working with her, and this kid was terrible, but by the time she left our facility, she was great, and now she's married with some kids, you know. And so it's like, how can you say we can't help, you know, patients, you know, when they come into, you know, these mental health facilities or whatever? Yes, you can. Evidently, that's their job. The problem is some of these facilities, if you go into the mental health field, you know, you work in the medical field, you go into law enforcement, whatever, you want to serve people. You know, at least that's what you should, you know, you should be going into. You want to help people, you want to serve people. But when an administration takes that away from you, it destroys you. A man without a vision dies. Their soul dies. Their hope dies. You know, and with these facilities, when they take that away from you to help these people, how and properly help them, not just medicate them and drug them up, it destroys you. You become apathetic, and I've seen it. I experience it. You know, I see it now with people. You know, you just become apathetic. You just don't care. You just go in and do whatever. And, you know, poor staff makes, you know, poor service for patients. Just how it is. And, you know, and just with our society, I just feel like that's what we have been pushing. Like I said, when I was in law enforcement, I left corrections, went into the police. I was in the police academy. I met some, this was like back in 2013. I met some guys from the Marines, you know, military people, and I knew in the jail they started, you know, softening. You know, people don't like me to use this word, but pussifying corrections. You know, where like they're giving the inmates way too many rights. You know, to going to write up officers, and the problem is when you do that, you know, when you're not strict, when you don't have proper boundaries and rules for inmates and people, guess what? It goes crazy. And my jail, it happened to my jail one time where they got rid of all the strong supervisors and a lot of officers, and a lot of they brought in these soft ones, and a lot of officers started getting hurt because the rules, they were like catering to the inmates. A lot of like, instead of, you know, like if an inmate took something like a cuff or so forth, instead of going there and getting that cuff, they want to get an inmate noodles. It's like, no. Like, what you doing? Because of course, you know what's going to happen next time. The inmate going to do the same thing because he knows he's going to get rewarded for bad behavior. Same thing as these mental health facilities. These kids and also adults, they act up because they can get rewarded for their bad behavior, and it doesn't help them in the future at all. It sets them up, you know, to think that, oh, bad behavior is a reward, and it isn't. You know. Um, but that's society. But anyway, so yeah, so I met, you know, military people saying they're doing the same thing in the military. They're trying to, they're softening it, you know. And I was saying, yeah, they were doing that in corrections, and then it's like you're seeing it, they're doing it in society, and then I went into mental health, like they're doing it in mental health, and not keeping these people accountable, you know, at all, and it's just terrible because you see the future of what's going to happen, to especially the kids, you know, see the future, what's going to happen. You keep acting this way. You know, and I know this. I remember having some kids say to me, "Well, I don't act this way outside here. I just act up, you know, when I'm, you know, in this residential and so forth." And I used to tell them, like, if you act up here, you're going to act up on the outside. And lo and behold, every single kid ever told me that. Later on, when they leave residential, they're right back in the system because they're acting up, or they're in some other facility, you know, for doing something negative. Because yeah, if you can't act up here, you're not going to act up on the outside, plain and simple. I mean, a facility, a mental health facility, a residential should be a training ground for these kids to get their life straight. Same thing for adults who get into these facilities. They might have to be, they might need some medication, or they might need to be introduced to some medication to help them get back on track. Because sometimes you know, you get professionals, you get single moms who just, they have nervous breakdowns, or just life, you know, life can get rough and tough, and sometimes you just need a break. You know, I mean, I'm happy that the stigma of mental health is somewhat gone, but the problem is that we have gone overboard to the other extreme, where instead of it being something that we overcome and deal with and still have a normal life and still be productive to society, it's something we're like, oh, you know, that's how I am and I can't help it, and you know, everyone needs to cater to me, and woe is me, and blah blah blah, you know. And guess what? That's life. Life don't give a crap what you've gone through. Life don't give a crap what trauma you've been through. I remember, I think it was Rocky Five, and it was, I think, Rocky was talking to his son, saying like life will hit you hard, but it's up to you to get up. I don't know if you can find it on YouTube, but it's a great speech. But yeah, life will hit you hard. And it's not how hard life hits you, what you do after you get hit. Because like yeah, in real life, yeah, life ain't gonna give a crap what you've been through. Like I said, and that's why there's a lot of kids. I used to tell them like I don't care what you've been through, trauma, whatever issues you have, Asperger's, autism, and so forth. And I know there are some extreme autism, but guess what? I've worked with, and I'll tell this one little story before I end. Anyway, my main thing is just saying, like, no matter what you've been through, don't be a jerk. You don't have to be a jerk. A lot of people have gone through what you've gone through, and they're not jerks. If not worse, they've gone through worse things, they're not jerks. But anyway, so there's one story. This is what I learned as a kid when I was 16. How kids know right from wrong at a very early age, and no matter what mental state they're in, they know right from wrong. Anyway, I was working at a camp with like some kids from the inner city, and um, we had this one kid, and he was in a wheelchair. He was highly mentally challenged, the head, to the side, everything, in a wheelchair and so forth. And I remember we had this one pretty staff lady, and whenever she was around, this kid would act up to get her attention. She would always give him attention when he was acting up and so forth. And I started noticing, I was just 16, but I started noticing like, okay, whenever she's around, he acts up because she'll go and cater to him. So eventually he does that, and I, pull her to the side and I tell her, how about you go over there and I'll deal with him, and she agrees. And I went to him and I got into this kid's face. I was like, next time you act up, I'm going to make sure that she never come to you again. Guess what? After I said that to that kid, he never acted up again when she was around and so forth. And that just made me, and as a kid, I didn't know what was going. I mean, I just did it because I'm like, I just thought I saw what I was seeing. I guess was true what I was seeing, where he was choosing to act up. I mean, even though he wasn't mentally as sound or whatever you want to say or high functioning as other kids, but he knew right from wrong. He knew what he was doing. You know, believe me, if you have kids, you've seen it. Shoot, I have like 4 kids, and I've seen them. As young as my kids have been, I've seen them know right from wrong and know what to do, and they know. We're just made that way. We're made to know right from wrong from a very early age. Um, but our society just chooses just telling us in a lot of ways. It's like there is no right, and there is no wrong, there is no good, there is no evil, and that just is a lie, of course. And a lot of young people are being trained, being influenced by the media and by health professionals that it's okay to be a victim, and it's not. So anyway, um, yeah. So I never got to about raising quality kids, but this is like maybe somewhat of an introduction to it. I think I'll definitely just go into that the next video. Uh, so thanks for listening, and subscribe, and put down your comments. If you agree or disagree, that's fine. I believe that we can agree or disagree and still be friends, and still be. I know now in society that's another thing. You can't disagree. You're a bastard or something like that if you disagree with me and so forth. And it's like what happened to the point where we just agree to disagree and it's okay. We can still love each other and like each other and work with each other. But anyway, so thanks for listening and subscribe and take care.